Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a relaxing Sunday so far.
Yes, good morning.
I was just scrolling through the news earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and something caught my eye, and I thought it'd be something interesting for us to take a deep dive into.
Okay.
There's a pretty serious car accident overnight here in Singapore that completely shut down the Fort Canning tunnel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a pretty bad one, and we've got some eyewitness reports,
Hmm.
photos,
Right.
even some official statements from the police and LTA.
Interesting.
So I figured, this might be like a little puzzle that we can try to put together.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Especially when you consider
yeah.
that this happened at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
It definitely makes you think about all the things that make driving late at night or, the wee hours of the morning
Mm-hmm.
so different from driving during the day, right?
Right.
Like what contributes to these kinds of accidents? But before we get into all of that, I think it's important to kind of set the scene a little bit for people who might not be familiar with Singapore.
For sure. Yeah.
So the Fort Canning Tunnel
Okay.
is this key route that runs under Fort Canning Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and it connects Stamford Road to Fort Canning Link.
Okay.
And right there, you've got the Singapore Management University's law school.
Oh, wow.
So even though it was 1:33 in the morning, you can bet there were still people out and about,
Go
students and,
Yeah. Late night study.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly a deserted area even at the time.
And that location itself is really interesting to consider. I mean, tunnels by their nature
Oh, yeah.
can be tricky for drivers, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Limited visibility. Sometimes the lighting can be weird.
Ah.
The enclosed space. Some people get claustrophobic,
Oh, that's true.
So all of these factors can actually play a role in how people react and behave behind the wheel.
I would imagine so.
It's actually a whole area of study in transportation engineering.
Really?
Yeah, like tunnel accidents.
Hmm.
There's a lot of research on it.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah,
So it sounds like this tunnel itself might be a piece of the puzzle here.
it could be. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the accident itself.
Okay.
We know that 3 cars were involved,
Right.
and from the photos, it looks like one of them took the brunt of the impact.
Oh, no.
It's a yellow car with some black decals,
Okay.
and the bonnet is just completely crumpled. I mean,
Oh, wow.
you can just imagine the force of that collision.
Those photos are really telling, aren't they? They show just how quickly things can escalate in an accident.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you see the SEDF vehicles, officers everywhere.
Right.
Medics are attending to someone on the ground. It's
Yeah.
a pretty intense scene.
And it really speaks to the efficiency of Singapore's emergency response system.
Oh, for sure.
They're known for being really fast and effective, right?
Right.
And I think that's super important when you're dealing with something like a major tunnel closure,
Absolutely.
even in the early morning hours,
Mm-hmm.
because that's going to have ripple effects throughout the entire city.
It disrupts everything, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And speaking of quick responses, the LTA,
Yeah.
the Land Transport Authority,
Uh-huh.
they started putting out alerts almost immediately after the accident happened.
They don't mess around.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They were warning drivers about lane closures, and then about 36 minutes later, boom,
Wow.
full closure of the tunnel.
That's incredible.
That's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that kind of coordination is essential in a city like Singapore,
Yeah.
Where even a small disruption
Uh-huh.
can cause major delays and chaos.
Oh, for sure.
It's not just about this one accident,
Right.
It's about keeping the whole system flowing smoothly.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about the location. We've talked about the emergency response.
Right.
But let's not forget about the people who were actually involved in this accident.
Of course, yeah.
So a 21-year-old male driver was taken to the hospital.
Okay,
Thankfully, he was conscious.
that's good.
And then 3 other people had minor injuries,
Okay.
but they didn't require hospitalization.
All right.
So all things considered, it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been, yeah.
But there's one little detail that I found interesting.
What's that?
The police statement mentioned that the 21-year-old driver is assisting with their ongoing investigation. Now, that suggests to me that there might be more to this story than just a simple accident.
Yeah, it definitely raises some questions, doesn't it?
Right, like was there speeding involved? Was it driver error?
Yeah, was there something else going on that we don't know about yet?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to wait and see what the investigation reveals.
Exactly.
Bit of a cliffhanger.
It is.
But even without knowing the exact cause, this whole incident got me thinking
About.
about something that I think is relevant to all of us who drive.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about driving late at night or in the early morning hours that makes it so different?
That is a great question, and it's
Yeah.
something that researchers have been trying to understand for years.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of factors at play.
Like what?
Well, the most obvious one is fatigue.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know, when you're tired, your reaction times are slower,
Hmm.
your judgment can be impaired,
Makes sense.
then you've got reduced visibility.
Uh-huh.
Even with streetlights, it's just harder to see potential hazards in the dark.
That's true.
And then there's this interesting paradox.
Okay.
The quieter roads themselves
Oh, yeah.
can actually be a problem.
How so?
Well, when there's less traffic around, drivers tend to feel more confident.
I can see that.
They might be more likely to speed because they think it's safer.
Yeah, it's like a false sense of security almost.
Exactly.
Wow, so it's like all these things are kind of working against you
Yeah, you could say
in
that.
those late night hours.
You've got this kind of perfect storm brewing sometimes.
That's not just about being a good driver.
right.
It's about understanding how the environment changes
Mm.
and how your own body and mind might be working against you.
Exactly. Driving is a lot more complex than people realize.
That's a really good point. I never thought about it that way.
It's all connected, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Well, I think this has been a really fascinating deep dive
It has.
into this Fort Canning tunnel accident.
Yeah,
Even though we don't have all the answers yet,
we don't.
it definitely brings up some important questions
It does.
about driving safely, especially late at night.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Think about your own late night driving experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever noticed that shift in your awareness,
Yeah.
that different kind of focus you need when the roads are empty and the city is asleep?
It's a different world out there at that time.
It is. And maybe this incident, as unfortunate as it was,
Right.
can serve as a reminder to all of us to be extra cautious
Mm.
when we're behind the wheel in those late night hours.
Yeah. Be aware. Be alert. Stay safe out there.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
And we'll catch you next time.
See ya. Bye.